I'm John Batchelor. Gordon Chang, my colleague and co-host, is here. Gordon, the taking of Ai Weiwei looks to be a turn in the road, a turn towards the old ways of brute justice in China. That is, the government of men, not of law. And what I'm struck by is how this, an artist who was, after all, not connected to human rights whatsoever, has triggered a reaction from people such as John Huntsman, where we have not seen that over these last 2 years. I'm not going to say I worry about it happening. It's here now. Is the regime prepared to respond to worldwide pressure? We know it's coming.
Yeah, I think that they probably understand that it is coming. It is not only the United States, it was France, Germany, and Britain that have complained almost immediately. This is something that we haven't seen, because you remember, February 2009, the Obama administration comes in, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton says that human rights are not on the agenda with China.
Not on the agenda. Well, they're back on the agenda. China's got many more problems than just the fact that we are disgusted with the behavior of the hardliners. Today, China's raising its prices for fuel. That's gasoline, jet fuel, and heating oil across the board. At the same time, we have what information they give us, and we don't trust much of it, that their inflation rate has exceeded their ambitions. They wanted 4%, they hit 4.9. We have anecdotal evidence that their food inflation is up to 20%. They've been tightening their bank reserves. All this suggests that the central bank planners, such as they are, have lost control of the inflation picture. That is as threatening as anything we say about their human rights abuses.
Well, certainly. They're very concerned about that. They've been trying to tighten things with increasing bank reserves, which is really a sort of very minor way of dealing with it. Now they're starting to increase in interest rates, which is a more drastic step. They're really worried about killing the economy by trying to tighten too much. But the problem is they haven't tightened enough, and so inflation has now run out of control. And I think Chinese leaders are starting to say, well, look, this is a really serious problem, but we're going to be leaving pretty soon, so we're going to leave this mess to the new set of leaders who come in next year. And the real problem is that all the while inflation is just sort of galloping, and they just don't have an answer to any of this.
Inflation is a challenge to democracies such as ours, and we argue with Ben Bernanke about his QE2 policies. It's a threat to Europe, and Trichet of the central bank there is expected to tighten rates within these next 12 hours in order, and that's why the euro's been rallying. So the Chinese are not alone here, but it's peculiar to China that with this modernizing economy and the growth and what we know to be a middle class of great aspiration, that they do not have a system of governance that can allow for mistakes and for corrections. The Communist Party rules silently and non-transparently, is brutal towards its most prominent citizens, and is behind on inflation. So that's why, in my opinion, what I've learned from you, Gordon, is that what hurts or weakens America destroys the Chinese government.
Oh, absolutely. And you think about the mention of Ai Weiwei, it really is a sign of weakness, because what they're trying to do now is they're saying, look, we're trying to stop this criticism of our government, and we're going to detain people that were thought to be untouchable. That really means that they are in trouble. And when they take somebody so prominent, so well respected, and put him in jail, essentially what they're doing is they're delegitimizing themselves. And that's exactly what's occurring at this moment.
The Jasmine Revolution that so threatens the regime, we've for weeks reported no one went strolling. There was no Jasmine Revolution. Well, it turns out it was a stealth revolution. The Beijing authorities themselves created the conditions for it to succeed without anybody coming out. It wins. Beijing loses. They're afraid of dog food commercials. Gordon Chang of The Daily and Forbes.com. I'm John Batchelor.